Alright, hey guys, welcome back. Let's continue on our instrument flying series. I hope you guys have watched the previous two videos on DME arc procedure and radial interception. Today I'm going to do is relatively simpler topic, that is holding pattern and entries. Basically it will be entries here. Entries. Okay. So before I actually start up, I just wanted to know a few important points about a hold. A standard hold is towards the right, and a right hold is the one in which you are going to make a right turn in the hold. Alright, and left is something like this. Okay, you're making left turns in the hold. Now there are two important arrows you can see here. This is called an inbound leg. This is called an outbound leg. Outbound leg is generally a heading. Inbound is what is the course basically, because you will actually fly towards the station. Okay, so and important part about joining a hold in a holding pattern or entering a holding pattern is to know where you are, on which radial you are. And if you see my radial interception video, that will tell you how to actually find out on which radial you are. Basically it's the tail of the needle when it is aligned. So if you're flying an RMI, which is something like this, by default it will show, the tail will show you your radial. But if you're flying something like an HSI, what you have to do is make the center aligned, the needle aligned into the center, and the to and fro arrow indicating 2, and then your tail is your radial. Okay, this is how it is. And in advanced glass cockpits, even if you just press the VOR needle, it will align itself. So that's all about, you need to know on which radial you are to understand how to enter into the hold. Okay, so before we start entry pattern, I wanted to learn a simple trick so that it will help you. So let's take a standard hold. I will use a standard hold in this video, and so that it becomes easier for us to understand. The first step is to understand how to enter. Alright, so standard stuff here is, if you remember, in the inbound leg we are going to set the opposite. So the inbound leg here is 270, outbound is 090. Okay, so our first step in this is, you need to split the hold. So if you see, you keep anything that once you start practicing, basically it will become all very fast. But for initial people who are flying currently, keep a pencil or a pen, whatever, and perpendicular to the inbound course or the outbound heading, whatever. And if you see the arrow mark on the top, it's showing towards the right, the bottom one showing towards the left. So just turn them like this, and hence draw a line something like this. Cut the hold. This is called cut the hold. So this angle with respect to the perpendicular is 20 degrees. Always remember this. This is to be done for every possible hold to determine your holding pattern. I hope that's clear. And then you draw lines like these. Okay, so now what is important to know is, this is the important line that you've drawn. Okay, so all the entries that come from this side of the hold are direct entries. I'll write it with a sketch. All the hold here are direct entries. The smaller one, the smaller this part, is your teardrop, and the bigger one is your parallel. Okay, so this basically means you have a 70 degree here, you have a, this whole angle is 110 degrees, and the rest is 180 degrees, this whole thing. Okay, so just remember, these are the three forms of entry patterns that actually exist. Okay, direct, teardrop, and parallel. So the way to determine them is to draw a 20 degree deviation perpendicular from the hold. Example, I'll take a different runway so that it's much if you have any doubts on that, you can actually clarify. So let's do something like this. Okay, So if you can see, this is also a right hand hold. Now the deal with this is, again, keep the pencil perpendicular to the outbound or inbound heading, whatever it outbound inbound course, outbound heading, and in the direction of arrow turn it. Okay, so first of all, this is the perpendicular, and if you've turned it, it is something like this. Okay, so I'll just draw this as a bold line. Okay, extensions, extensions. Now if you see this sector, the bigger sector in which the arrow is pointing towards is your direct sector, in which your arrow is pointing towards the station. The bigger sector, 180-degree sector, is your direct sector. Okay, the smaller sector here, which is 70 degrees, is your teardrop, and the 110 sector is your parallel. Okay, so in the direction of arrow, wherever it's directing, that side is a direct entry. Okay, so irrespective of what kind of hold it is, you just remember to make a 20-degree correction and know the radials where you are. And in this example, approximately this is 200, and this is 020, and this is of course 090 radial, and this is 270 radial. Okay, so what happens here is, if in case you are in a radial zone between 020 and 270, you will do a parallel entry. If you are over in 020 to 200, you will do a direct, the whole thing. If you are between 200 and 270, that is a 70-degree difference, you will do a teardrop. Similarly, here also the same will apply. Alright, so it's very important to know in which sector you are, and that will be known from the tail of the needle which radial you are. And if you've not really gone through that radial interception video, go through it. You will get to know more in detail about how to know your radial. Okay, so now let us start discussing the different types of the entry patterns. So first one, I'll discuss the basic one, is the simplest of all, is your direct entry. Direct entry, as the name suggests, the entry is direct, and quietly so, that's the way it is. So how to start? I will just use standard hold and standard this thing, and inbound is 270 090 outbound heading. So step 1, again, quickly just imaginary line drawn, and you are in some position, say here. Okay, and you found out through the radials that you are in this sector. Approximately, I think this would be some 150 or maybe 140, 120, anything of that sort. So the first step in any viewer entry pattern, to perform an entry pattern, is proceed overhead. Okay, so proceed overhead, go towards the station. So preliminaries, of course, to find which radial you are, that will give you the sector. Okay, and then you go overhead. And in direct, what happens is, it's quite simple. So direct, what happens is, just come overhead and proceed outbound on the outbound heading for 1 minute, and then start turn inbound heading 270. So proceed overhead and turn outbound heading. That's all about it. And before you actually approach, you can obviously set 270 on your VOR needle if you have if you're flying in HSI, or depending on the type of aircraft, you can just set that into your course window, 270, and once you are here, you intercept it and then fly the hold. Okay, that's direct entry. It's quite direct actually. Alright, let's do parallel entry. Number 2, parallel entry. Okay, so parallel entry, also let's take okay, and here also we have the same. I'm just keeping it constant. You guys can try with different examples. I'm keeping it constant so that it's easier for us to comprehend that. Okay, so same thing, just draw, imagine, draw, whatever you call it. Okay, So if you remember, for parallel entry we are supposed to be in this sector because it's a 110 degree sector, the bigger sector. So this is your parallel entry. Okay, now what happens if your aircraft is somewhere like this, irrespective of the direction or heading, whatever, irrespective of that, you might be in a heading 090, irrespective of that, first step, come overhead. You've got to know which radial you are. First step is to come overhead. Okay, the moment you come overhead, your DME will start to drop and you will be in a cone of confusion, that is called where the VOR station is not really VOR needle is not really working. So after that, have a positive DME 0.1. I would suggest example 0.1 DME on the DME equipment, 0.1 DME, and then turn outbound on the outbound heading, which is already given in the chart. Turn outbound heading for 1 minute. This will be parallel to your inbound course. Okay, so suppose you have turned like this, and this brown line will be 090 heading. Okay, do not confuse with the 270 is inbound course. So you'll fly after crossing 0.1 minute, you'll fly parallel on a heading 090, and then turn. All instrument flying turns are all rate 1 turns. Alright, I'll explain what rate 1 turn is. Take a turn into the hold and then join the hold. Okay, once you're overhead, then you can continue the hold. I hope this is simple. Okay, now all the entry patterns are simple. It is just about knowing where you are and where you have to go. Third one is your teardrop entry. Now teardrop entry is, okay, let me draw the same thing first. Okay, same thing again. Before you go for your instrument flying as an aspirant, initial days, do prepare your charts very well. Think about it, have an hour or so, and know your radials and everything, where you will be. It's better to go prepared and analyze everything. So your inbound course is 270 and your outbound heading is 090. So if you remember, teardrop comes in the 70-degree sector, and if you can see, this arrow is here, so this is a direct entry. The bigger one is a parallel entry, the smaller one is a teardrop entry. So this is teardrop. Okay, teardrop. Now if your aircraft is somewhere here like this, though the heading is 360, but your radial you found out to be some 250, whatever it is, 240. So first step again, preliminary, of course you found out the radial. First step again, fly overhead. So fly overhead. Now what with teardrop is, it is a plus or minus 30-degree correction to outbound heading. Okay, and the important part is you have to be inside the hold. Just think logically always, and always refer your chart. Keep your chart on standby whenever you're flying. Do not keep it aside. So whenever you're flying, you know which side the hold is and everything. So for example, here now we know the outbound heading is 090. It's mentioned to us clearly. Now we have to give a plus or minus 30-degree correction. Now the way to decide is, if you give a plus 30-degree correction here, you will plus 090 plus 30, you will end up 120, which is somewhat this heading, and you'll be out of the hold. So instead 090 minus 030 will give you 60-degree heading. So you'll fly 60-degree, okay, heading 060, heading 060 for a minute. For a minute on 060, and turn onto the course 270, and that's your teardrop. It looks like a drop, proper drop. Okay, parallel entries, because you're flying parallel to that. This is a teardrop. Now I'll just quickly draw for a left hand. What happens in a left hand hold. Okay, so left hand hold, if you remember, arrow mark is like this, so I'll draw it like this. divided this thing, hold. Your teardrop sector is this, of course. So in this case your inbound course is this 270. Now if you see teardrop, outbound heading is 270, so you have to give 30° plus or minus correction in the hold. Okay, now in the same position, if you subtract 270 minus 30, you'll be out of the hold, 240. So to be in the hold, you have to add 270 plus 30, you will be around 300. You'll fly like this and make a left turn and join. Okay, so that's very important, where to just remember. Now teardrop, another thing is generally what happens is you are coming in from this sector, so you generally most of the time you continue straight, so it is relatively easier. Okay, so that's all about teardrop as well. So if you can just generalize, for a right hand hold we are subtracting, for a left hand hold we are adding. Alright, so just practice couple of more examples using different inbound courses and holding, and I think that's all should that should help you guys. Okay, I will give you a quick how to fly the hold. That's very important as well. So how to fly the hold. So okay, same, I'll just keep it standard so that okay. So this is a right hand hold, as you can see, and the courses are of course 270, 090. Okay, so now next how to fly the hold. Now each leg is 1 minute. Okay, so each leg is 1 minute. This is 1 minute, this whole leg is 1 minute here, this whole leg is 1 minute, this whole leg is 1 minute. So it's a standard thing is a 4-minute hold. Okay, so whenever you join after doing any sort of entry, parallel, direct, or teardrop, so once you're overhead, you start a rate 1 turn. I'll tell you about rate 1 turn. Now rate 1 turn, to find out what bank to keep on a rate 1 turn, what you need to do is bank angle equal to your TAS by 10 plus 7. So approximately if you're flying at 100 knots, 100 by 10, 10, 10 plus 7, so 17 degrees of bank will give you a rate 1 turn. Alright, so that's about rate 1 turn. Now next important thing is rate 1 turn. Okay, fine. Rate 1 turn is 180 degrees in a minute. So that is 3 degrees per second. Okay, that's your turn basically. In a minute you should be on the other side. So 2 minutes will take 360 degrees if you fly for 2 minutes. Alright, anyway. So yeah, once you're overhead, you'll fly this in a rate 1 turn angle, and then this heading is this outbound heading is also for a minute. Then you will turn back 1 minute, and then 270 course will be set on 270 inbound, and then you'll fly that for a minute. Now okay, now it sounds very simple to, I just told you how to fly hold, but it's really not simple in the real world conditions. Why? Because you have winds. Alright, this is in a nil wind condition, it's pretty simple. Now winds, what happens on winds? Now winds, if you have a headwind on the outbound heading, so if you have headwind, basically you're gonna be pushed like this, correct? So in headwind, generally what we general standard stuff is to fly 1 second extra for every 1 knot of wind. Suppose you have 10 knots, you'll fly for 1 minute and 10 seconds. Okay, simple. Tailwind, 1 second less for every 1 knot. So if you have say tailwind, so you will just suppose you are having a 10 knots tailwind will be from something from here on the outbound heading. So if you're flying if you have a 10 knots of tailwind, then you'll fly for 50 seconds. Alright, now interesting question, what if you have a crosswind? Okay, So what do you have, what if you have a crosswind? Now interesting part about crosswind is, so you actually do not know the winds, you don't need to know the drift. Okay, so when you're inbound in the hold, you will have the course aligned. Okay, since you have set 270, your course will be aligned. At that point in time, find your heading, the actual heading that you're flying to maintain the course. Okay, so suppose 270 is set, but you are maintaining say 265. Okay, alright, is that fine? So 265, basically you are maintaining something like this. Okay, so that means your winds are coming from this side. Since you're maintaining into the wind, 265 is approximately this. So what happens is, you found out the drift correction, that is 270 minus 265, that is about 5 degrees. You're maintaining a 5 degrees correction to stay on the course. You actually do not need the winds of the tower at all, because you can find out from the inbound course itself. So you have 5 degrees drift, that is you're maintaining to maintain the course. So what will happen is, you have to maintain on the outbound heading, give 3 times the correction. What does this mean? So you are giving 5 degrees correction here. On the outbound heading, you will give 5 into 3, 15 degrees correction. So your outbound heading is 090. Okay, so you will give a correction of 090 plus 15, that is 105. Because winds are coming from here, if you fly something like this, then you will stay constant on the outbound heading. Why we are, okay, now interesting question again, why are we giving 3 times the correction? Alright, so why? Because after the inbound, you have 3 legs to complete. This is one leg, this is one leg, and this is one leg. Because anyways, inbound you will maintain the course. So that's why 3 times the correction. So this is about crosswind. You really do not need to know the tower winds, because again, whenever you do the hold, every 4 minutes you can actually establish the drift, and you can find out the new angle and then give the correction accordingly. Alright, so I hope this video has really helped you. It has clarified all your entry pattern doubts, and anything, just drop a comment below. I will surely get back to you immediately. And if you like the video, do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the Facebook page guys, share the video. And I'm gonna come up with the next video that would be perhaps I could give you a how to do an chart briefing from the Jepson. Alright, and we could do in that itself, I think we could do some course reversals, or else I'll do another video, no issues. What kind of course reversals exist that are 80 to 60 procedure turn, and so on. Alright, so I hope that has clarified your entry patterns, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day guys, bye bye, take care.